This one's for Charlie.
And now, after years of planning, sweating, and going broke, here is the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
And alert the media.
Why they would give this man a podcast is anyone's guess.
Then there is what could only be a bizarre coincidence or something else.
Welcome to the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, son.
Country music and fine moonshine. Finally, a podcast that lets it all hang out.
Let's level with America.
Got your boots? Ready for some whiskey?
These boots are made for walking.
One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
And now, the Boots and Whiskey Podcast with Jim Belisle.
Hey everyone, Jim here, Boots and Whiskey Podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. We have Drew Harakal. I fucking suck at last names. Drew's here. That's all that matters. That's it. Big thank you for him for being. Big thank you, Drew, for coming on. My God, this is actually the second time we've tried this whole Drew episode. We had one all recorded, the whole 9 yards. We talked about some cool shit, and we didn't put that one out for whatever reason. I wish I still had it because we probably would put it out together. But anyway, so Drew is here. We did a lot of things last week. Last Tuesday, we went to see the Teskey Brothers at MGM Music Hall in Boston. And then Thursday, we went saw the Eli Young Band at Six String in Foxborough. What else did we do? I think that's it. But yeah, great shows all around. Reviews are coming. And yeah, that's it. If you're in the Boston area and you haven't been to MGM Music Hall, you need to go. It's a great venue, great staff, the whole 9 yards. Everything is just great there. And same thing with Six String. Six String is a great bar. I love it there. It's for me, it's nice and close to home, so it's even better. But yeah, good stuff. Let's see. We talk about some cool stuff here with Drew. Some things are a little dated, but Drew's a buddy of mine, so I wanted to give him his own week. I didn't want to put him in with the Labor Day thing, and again, nothing against anybody that was put in that. It was just, this is my goddamn show. I'll put out who I want when I want, you know. That's it. Is it cool if we talk about the Gavin Adcock, Zach Bryan thing for a minute? What I want to know is this. Why do we care so much? Like, I don't think we do. I think it's just entertaining, right? Like, I said it in a TikTok the other day where, like, I honestly don't give a shit about any of this. But, it's fun. It's entertaining, right? I'll stand by this. I will die on this hill. Zach Bryan is way more entertaining, talented, the whole 9 yards than Gavin Adcock. I'll say it all day long. Gavin Adcock, I think, is just a dink. You know, like Zach's a dink too. Don't get me wrong, but like at least Zach has he can write a song. You know what I mean? Gavin's too is just, they don't catch me. I don't get them. I don't know. Like, we're gonna see him at Country Calling, I think. I don't know. And I think I'm going to see him just to say I did. Yeah, that's really it with that. I'm going to tell you full throttle. I personally haven't publicly said anything about last week's murder of Charlie Kirk. This episode is dedicated to him and his family. And I have some things to say about it at the end of this episode. So honestly, if you don't want to hear them, whatever, when the conversation between Drew and I is over, I will not be offended or upset if you stop listening then. But I know my audience, and I don't think you're going to be offended by anything I have to say. With that being said, Drew Harakal. I've always called him. Forget it. It doesn't matter. Drew Harakal. Liz, I'm sorry. Is here. Enjoy the episode, guys. Cheers. Thanks for waking up early and
Oh yeah, of course, bro.
doing the thing. We're
Yeah.
doing the thing again because we keep getting
Oh,
harassed about
I was
doing
gonna,
it.
I was gonna say, man, we did this once, but then we never aired it. So, because now you're doing the video
Well, yeah,
thing,
because Liz
right?
yelled at me and she said,
Oh, yeah, I know
if
all
you don't
about that.
if you don't do this, I'm gonna kill you. No, that's not what she said. But
Oh
she
no,
might as
I
well
think, I think she was threatening to kill me if we didn't get this done. So,
have. But hey, you know what? I guess that's why we have those kind of women in our life, right?
that's true, man. That's true.
So what's been going on? I mean, because we're gonna do this whole thing like we've never talked before. So,
Right.
so how's things?
Good, man. I'm gearing up to leave this morning, to go to North Carolina to play at the Bird's Nest, out in Dunn, and That's pretty much what's on my radar this week. Just
Nice.
go out there, have a good time. Sean and Carla that run the place are great. Really like hanging out with them. We're probably, gonna try and spend a little time out there. Uh, you know, take our time getting there, take our time getting back, see some places.
Nice.
Probably film some acoustic shit. Hang out with Gabe, who I'm playing the show with, Gabe Quinn. He's cool. Young dude out of Nashville.
Yeah.
He's got like a Lumineers kind of vibe. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
interviewed him
Yeah.
before.
We interviewed him. I think thanks to Liz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been great getting him hooked up with me.
It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
How's the music thing going?
Oh, it's good, man. I'm still, I'm doing my thing. Finishing up these singles for the rest of the year. I mean, I've been kind of kicking rocks with that recently. I need to get it past the finish line. I just have not sung like the final vocals for all of it, and like that's it. Like it's been nearly done for a minute. I've got another batch of songs need to start working on. I'm still playing with other people here and there. Uh, I'm going out. If you're familiar with Colby Cooper,
Oh yeah.
a buddy of mine plays for him, and he's taken about a month off of the road for personal reasons. So he has me coming filling in. So I'm playing the weekends with him. I think starting late this month.
Nice.
Yeah, just doing like some guitar and keys and having fun with those guys. I know most of those guys in that band from different bands they've been in that I've played with, or like Colby ends up for a long time. I didn't realize that when he was like a teenager, used to follow a band around that I was playing for in East Texas and helped us load gear when he was like a kid. And like when we reconnected a while back, he reminded me of this, and I didn't even recognize him. But now he's doing what he's doing, and he was like, I was inspired by like just watching you guys play in these shitty little bars back in the day.
Yeah. Now, I want to touch upon that. Your
Hmm.
earlier stuff. Like, I want to go through all of it, right? Where
Hmm.
when you start playing and start playing out, how, I don't want to say how good, but like, how much of a difference band quality is it when you first start out to like where you are now?
Band quality,
Yeah.
it ranges, man. I think personally, I think like finding a decent band, or at least the framework of a decent band, uh wasn't too hard, especially where I grew up in DFW. There's a lot of musicians and a lot of hunger for like gigs, and because like traditionally in this area, I'd say there's not as much work as say like the Nashville or the LA or the New
Sure.
York. Traditionally, I mean, I don't really know how much, if that's still as prevalent of a proximity thing to those cities. I know it is, but I don't think it is as much nowadays. But back then it was just, man, everyone just was looking for a gig, so you had to work that much harder to just be seen or just get hired. So like the level of musicianship in this region, I thought, like, compared to the amount of work was just insane. So we
Yeah.
always had good bands, I think, growing up, but we didn't always have the best writers. We didn't always have the best songs. A lot of times we're going out and the guy like, oh, I've got like 5 or 6 originals, but like we got to cover a 3-hour gig, so we're doing mostly just honky tonk covers or Glasses Texas country stuff or whatever, what have you. Like, this is like
Yeah.
before the '90s revival boom kind of came around, and like the '70s thing was, like the re-outlaw thing was kind of starting to go, so
Yeah.
everyone
Yeah.
was playing a lot of Waylon and everyone's playing a lot of like that era outlaw shit, that not the singer songwriter stuff but like the dancing stuff, and it's yeah, that's what it was. So
So when you're in an area like you're in, right,
mhm.
and you're playing and you're growing up playing or whatever, like, do you? Is it a moment? Is there a moment where you're like, I'm good enough to go on the road, or is it one of those like, I'm good enough that I hope to get seen by somebody to take me on the road?
I mean, man, it's like it was so much more. We didn't, and I would say we still don't have a lot of, comparatively again to like these other cities, or even even to Austin, or even to other major Texas markets. I don't think that DFW has as many like artists, you could say. I mean,
Sure.
we do have plenty, and we do have a lot of great writers, but as far as like touring artists go, um not it's not, we don't have the biggest abundance. So most of like that work that I'm talking about, especially in my early years, it's like, songwriters trying to get their feet under them, trying to build a band, or it's a lot of just like working bands. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, maybe this dude who's fronting this band does have originals and we might play a couple a night, but it was a lot of just like, now we know we're a cover band and we're getting hired to play the covers. It's not a top 40s cover band, it's a Texas country cover band, or
Right.
Nashville country cover band, or whatever it wanted to be that day.
Now, how hard is it when you're in a cover band like that to
Mhm.
break out of that and be an original band?
It just, I mean, depends whether the person writing the songs wants to do that. I don't
Right.
know, like, uh a lot of times, if you're in a band and it's like you are a cover band, you're a cover band, and so it's, even if, say, the singer wanted to like start doing originals, they typically might not like say it's the same band, even if it might be all the same exact guys. You know what I mean? It would like, there would be too much of a confusion of, we're hiring this band for the night, but we don't know. Like, then are you hiring them to be a cover band? Or are you hiring them to do the original gig? Like, to have, I've been to festivals before where it seems a little awkward, where there's like a full on cover band on a festival bill opening up for like a bigger artist. And it's like,
Right.
why are they there?
Yeah. Now, when you're doing your stuff, right, and you're
Mhm.
evolving, how do you personally decide, like, okay, this is what's fitting me here and there, and I'm going to do my own thing, but I'm also going to
Oh,
work
that's
with,
right.
you know?
As far as my own gigs, or,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know shit all for covers, so I can't do a cover gig. Like, not like that. I play in a lot of other bands that we do a lot of covers, but like, I struggle with remembering words a lot, so I've never been one to uh do a ton of covers in my own sets, or go out as like doing the 3-4 hour bar band gigs like a solo acoustic. It's just not my wheelhouse. It's not my forte. Like, all day, if somebody else can remember all the words, I know most of those songs and can back them up. And I do that plenty, but like, I'd have to be reading off my cell phone for at least 2 hours of the night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Now, how is that? Why is that? Why?
I don't know. The way I think I personally just interpret music, or learn to interpret music as a child, or growing up, like learning how to play like piano classically, even, it's like, and that might be a thing, is like, because I was classically trained, uh so much of it is not like it can be and is sometimes internalized, but not in the sense of like you're still reading sheet music in front of you. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like you're just constantly just reading, and like even if you have the thing memorized, you can reference that, or if you have it memorized and you have it off, it's like it's so exacting of a thing, and you spend so long just working sometimes on just one piece of material. Even if that piece is like 15 minutes long, it's still just like that that immediate regurgitation thing versus having to remember, say I'm doing a 3 hour gig, I probably need to know 5 hours of music and then like this random cover that I know somebody's going to ask me for that day. But because it was so instrumental and so just down pat, like based off of the sheet music growing up, I think like my interpretation of like vocals sometimes in my head is more of an as an instrument than as poetry, I guess.
Sure.
So like
Yeah.
I could remember the melody all day, but the exact words or the exact phrasing sometimes eludes me, and like I know I'll be singing along with stuff in my head and hear it and I'll be like, oh, that's not how I remember it going.
Yeah.
It'll be the exact same sentiment, but like
Right.
like would versus could and shit like that.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I know the last time we talked a lot about your training and your upbringing when
Yeah.
it came to playing keys and stuff. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I probably
Mhm.
am, because I'm a moron. But how different is it to do play traditional piano work to like I don't want to say country tunes, but country tunes like
Oh, it's style. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it's definitely, classical music can be rigid and it can be, I mean, it can be very expression, like it can give a lot of expression, but like a lot of times the the structure you need to uh develop it to that point is quite rigid
yeah,
in the sense of like, you need to learn to play exact things to be able to interpret them, say like with a little more feel. But I mean, that's the same with I think all instruments really, and all music to a degree. It's just traditionally, like you say you're listening to Bach, that's like what pop music from the 1600s, if you really
right,
think about it.
right,
So it's really it was just of the time, its style, and it's just like that was so very much like we're not swinging the beat, we're not uh it's just very stylized, and country music is just like the modern version of stylized like pop. In a sense, it's not pop music, but it's popular.
right, right,
It's like not like they had country music back then. you know
right, right.
or unless
So
unless
like
the country was like Austria, like
right, right. So like you hear all the time how like country music is referred to like three chords and the truth and all
Sure.
that, right? And like a lot of that is based off of the guitar. So, but is that
Mhm.
the same way with the piano? Is it
Well, I
very like
mean,
I don't want to say limited, but is it a lot of repetition? Because I mean, you hear a country song, it's a lot of it is the same three chords, just
oh
different.
sure. I,
You know what I
I
mean?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it is a lot of repetition, man.
Yeah,
I think if songwriters were like a little more concerned with like trying to stay away from that versus like trying to be expressionistic, like we'd have a lot less songs
right,
because
right.
it's just uh sometimes the three chords is all you need,
Yeah,
especially if you're trying to get something across, like it's not sometimes not as much about the music as it is about the message, and so especially with songs like that.
right, right. Because it always cracks me up whenever you see like legal battles with bands, and they're like, oh well, you just ripped off my song. It's like, dude, like what are you talking about?
Oh
Like,
man, dude, like I don't understand it because yeah, there is, especially in like I could get in the weeds about this, but in the Western music world, we have 12 notes, right? Like in other styles of Eastern music, we have more, but like we don't recognize that in the Western Hemisphere and in America.
right,
So like with only 12 notes and only so many combinations of those 12 notes, and like our hearing spectrum only being from this hertz to this amount of hurts. It's a you can only do so many things, and yeah, things are going to start sounding similar, especially with like everybody's inspired by the person before them, so like it's going to sound a little bit like where you came from. No one's
Right.
ever completely original. But like for a weird example, I was listening to a record a while back, a few years ago. A buddy introduced me to this record called like what is it, Africa Brazil. It's an Afro-Cuban, like South American. It's this amazing record by a guy named Jorge Ben, where they use this thing called the cuica. It's like a monkey drum. You've probably heard it in like '60s pop music before, but it sounds like a monkey, like ooh, 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 like. And it's this great, fun, like Afro-Cuban jazz record, but like a deep cut, like three-quarters of the way through, ends up. It sounds exactly like, and it might even be the same key, a tune by Rod Stewart, like a very popular single by Rod Stewart back in the day, and uh, it came out like 2 years before Rod Stewart came out with that song, and that went huge.
Right.
So it's like, did he steal that, or did he maybe hear that when he was on tour? Or maybe it was just a happenstance that they wrote the same exact song.
Right.
Like I've never heard them try to sue Rod Stewart for that song, and they definitely have a case if anybody else is winning this stuff. You
Right.
know?
Right. But yeah, I mean, it's wild when you hear stuff like that because it's like we were talking about. Like it's
Mm.
just you're gonna come across it.
Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, even like artists themselves, like you think of a band like, and I hate to talk about them because I can't stand them, but like U2, every U2 song sounds the exact same. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like, that's, that's somewhere where a band has, like, say them especially, created a style
right,
or a sound of their own, and like, how do you deviate from yourself? Like, it evolves, I'm sure, with nuance. I'm not a big U2 fan either, so I can't really speak to it, but you know I always think about like Coldplay,
right,
like where like I grew up on their early records, and like their sound, they always sound like Coldplay. Coldplay
right,
always sounds like Coldplay, but they've
right,
gone through so many different eras of being that band, so it's just kind of, they can't not sound like themselves, but it's yeah, a lot of people hate Coldplay.
right, right. But like, and it's funny because I say it all the time. Coldplay's first two albums were fantastic.
Oh, dude, the first record especially, like
Yeah,
it's just phenomenal, and like their EPs that before their first full length record are even better. They were like
really.
they were like Diet Radiohead.
They were like, yeah.
They really were, like, they were great.
That I've never heard of them described that way, but
Yeah,
that's
it's like easy
awesome.
listening Radiohead.
Yeah.
Really.
Now let me ask you, right? Because in like I know we talked about this, and I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm sure that we've already talked about, but
Sure,
I've
sure.
I've drank a lot since then, Drew. Um,
Me too.
so when you're growing up and living in Texas, like, are
Mhm.
you are you hearing like are you hearing the kind of music that in my brain, right? When
Mhm.
you live in Texas, all you're hearing is country music, right? Obviously,
Right.
that's not the truth, right?
No,
But
no, it's not.
like, how much of an influence is other things, other outside of country music, to you while you're growing up and getting into this whole world?
I mean, when I grew up, we didn't have country music in the house.
Really?
My parents weren't really into it. It was not a thing. I knew it existed. I wasn't really a fan. Because like, when you're a child, you listen to what your parents listen to.
Sure. Yeah.
Mom listened to like Motown and Stevie Wonder, and then also like Nirvana and like stuff like that, and and especially like Frank Sinatra, like Christmas records, and like Michael Bublé and stuff like that. We always had like that kind of holiday music on, like the crooner stuff. She really loved
Yeah.
too, and like Dad listened to Sheryl Crow and Sarah McLachlan and Indigo Girls, like a lot of like chick rock, like '90s chick rock. Funny enough, and then like he was also like his favorite band was like Pink Floyd, and so we
Yeah.
listened to like Dark Side of the Moon all the time. Like he was always on the stereo. And so like, and he introduced me to like that era of stuff, or like King Crimson, or like some of that weird prog '70s
Yeah.
thing, you know. So growing up with like those two sides of like that, like almost like the 70s, 90s rock coin. We also didn't really have any like there wasn't a lot of 80s music in the house. Like as far as like traditional 80s music, when you think like those rock bands like Kiss or Van Halen or we didn't really have like a lot of Zeppelin in the house. We didn't really have a lot of or any of like the you think of like the 80s like metal bands like the hair metal era or all that stuff. I had like a bunch of friends that I'd go over to their house and like their dads were just like listening to like constantly like Van Halen and
Yeah,
Kiss
yeah,
and AC/DC and
yeah.
uh that was where I got that from. But
That was my house.
yeah. But even with all that spectrum, I didn't get any country music coming in. Not really.
Oh,
I grew up in a pretty like rural yet developing area. Like it was just becoming a suburb kind of thing. Um, like on the outskirts of Dallas at the time. But it was like I'm sure there was plenty of country music out there, but I was never involved in it. Never really absorbed it. I wasn't really a fan. Like I said, as a kid, and uh, I got into country music like for work as a necessity, just because like that was the work that I could find when I was finally looking to be a professional musician.
yeah,
Especially like paying work, I can go out to a gig, get cash in hand, and be able to pay my bills the next day. Like I'm sure if I could have like went and tried to be like a classical pianist somewhere, and like put a lot of debt under my belt just to maybe make a salary for doing that one day. But that was not what I was looking to do. I was looking to play shows.
yeah.
And like
Now,
I learned it, and I learned to love it on the gig, really.
yeah, yeah. That was going to be my question. Where
Mhm.
like at what point does work turn into what you love to do?
Oh, I always did.
Well, I meant
That's why.
like with country music, like when it was like it's a necessity to play country music to pay the bills. Like at what point do you grow to like, oh shit, this is actually better than I thought?
uh it was a gradual thing. I think I always try to, and I hope I don't bury myself saying this, but I always try to find something that I like with anything that I'm doing performance wise. Like,
Sure.
I might not have liked country music, but I would find the things that I liked in, say, like the artist music that I was playing for at the time, especially
Yeah.
younger, before I kind of broadened my horizons a little bit when it came to country music. So it was like, oh, it's country, but I'd focus on like the rock aspect. You know what I mean? Like I'd try to lean into that a little more, or just, but like in general, like anytime I play with any artist or like I do a recording session, I try to find, even if it's like a minuscule thing, I try to find the one thing that I like about it, and like really just try to embrace that.
Yeah.
I think my eyes opened up a lot more when it came to the country as a whole. But like I remember the first time like identifying like, oh, I like this. I was playing bass in a honky tonk cover band, or it was mostly cover band, but um I mean we would be doing like 1100 Springs covers, and like Waylon covers and whatnot. I was playing bass for a guy named Mo Robson, who's a Dallas staple kind of dude, and we were a honky tonk band. It wasn't like we're doing all styles of country music. We're not doing outlaw country. We were doing, if you couldn't dance to it, we wouldn't play it. That it was
Yeah.
just two step in music, man. And like we were getting hired to be the band that everyone's dancing to that night at any bar that we were at. We played 8 airs probably once a week for a long time. Uh, but that was the first time I remember being like, oh man, I can get down with like honky tonk. I was like, man, I really, really like this style of country. And it's like it's great to see bands like Silverado, the Moon Pies back,
Yeah.
you know.
Like the Luchas.
But like that's why I have a special place in my heart for that band, because like that was that was me in my early 20s, like between like 19 and 22, like playing in bands or playing in bars I probably shouldn't have been let into, drinking at them too, but and then but like just like that was the style of music that really made me love it, fall in love with country. You know.
Yeah. Now, when you're starting off and playing these shows and stuff, and you're seeing, the Texas country scene kind of, I don't want to say develop, but do its
Well,
thing.
yeah, it definitely grew from when I started.
Right. Like
Yeah.
who do you remember seeing certain people in those earlier years, and now they're like, I don't want to say untouchable, but like
Mhm.
bigger than you would have expected, or
Oh, I mean,
like
there's
the
plenty of
the industry would have
people.
expected.
Yeah, totally. I mean, like, I remember, and I was pretty. I didn't know a lot about like the overall Texas country scene, especially when I first started. I didn't even know it was a thing, and it was a smaller thing than it is now. But like, I remember like playing gigs. This is probably like 2011, something like that, and I think um one of the biggest artists I think at that time was probably Josh Abbott band.
Yeah.
Like in my view that like I had seen, like I remember we were opening up, like I was playing a gig opening up for Josh, and it was one of the first gigs I played for this dude, and there was probably like 3,000 people at this outdoor barbecue thing, and I remember thinking, man, like I didn't even know this, that was like a scale that this was reaching at all, because previously I'd been playing a lot of like private party kind of gigs or gigs at ATV parks. I played a lot of gigs at ATV parks between like the age of like 19 and 22. And I don't know why this the artists I was finding out in East Texas, it was just like mud bogs, they called them. And just like, there was just whoever was at this ATV park that weekend for whatever they were doing. So, it would be like 50 people, sometimes a couple hundred, but it being on this scale of just like I remember thinking at the time and talking to people, and that was when Josh, I think right before Josh had signed like with a label and went national, because I remember I think they were on Letterman that year or the next year or something. I can't remember, but that was back when he had first really popped off, um and like for him at the time to be like the precipice of my view, and then like seeing all these other bands that have like just gone and like shot above him and done other things, and I didn't know about like at the time about like the Pat Greens or like the Robert O'Keens or like the guys where like he came from,
Right.
but and like to what scale they were even doing back then or before or after. But just like to watch other bands, like I remember meeting Will Green when it was just him and his dog touring out of his pickup truck, just doing songwriter gigs, or and that was like probably the first couple of years he got started, or I remember when Flatland Cavalry signed their first deal with booking and management. Like I was there in the green room with them, hanging out because they were opening up a show that I was playing for another guy. And like to see where they're at, and then like even in that Nashville scale, I mean, they're going to the ACMs and they're going, the CMAs or whatever the hell they're called. I don't know,
Yeah.
but like they're doing really well. They're on red carpets. They're movie premieres. Those guys have gone from 0 to fucking 60.
Yeah.
Um, I there's a lot of guys I've seen. I mean, shit. One of my first gigs I ever played after moving back to Texas, because I lived in Boston for a couple years going to college. When I moved back to Texas, one of the first gigs I played was I was playing for an artist that was opening up for Whiskey Myers in Tyler, and this is probably one of the first couple of years Whiskey Myers was really doing something. Like they were playing college towns, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pulling a couple hundred people a night. And like I remember it was one of the first times I seen a guitar boat. Yeah, like where all the guitars are lined up with the LEDs on the inside. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, I just want to play for a band that has one of those. I thought that was the coolest thing. But like to see where they've gone since is you know, I mean, they're I might be a little bit personal bias, but like I think they're like the next Leonard Skinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like
Whiskey is
they're
fantastic.
they're incredible. Like the show's
Yeah.
incredible, the music's great, and like yeah, it's just if they can get to a wide enough audience and create like some some more iconic records. I mean, they've already got a couple, but like they could be like this worldwide
Yeah.
Southern rock. They could be the next Leonard Skinner.
Yeah.
I mean, Leonard Skinner is not Leonard Skinner anymore, so somebody needs to be, right?
Right. So you see all these guys, right? So, I'm gonna put your feet to the fire, and I'm gonna make you talk
Yeah,
about it, whether you want to or not. But like,
sure.
who are some of the big guns you've played with? I mean, I know the answer, but for
Yeah,
people
yeah.
that
I mean, well, I'll mention before. Like, I played with Flatland for a while. I've done records for Whiskey Myers. I used to play for Cody Jinks for about 7 years. I've done records with Third Eye Blind before. I'm trying to think what big ones people would know. I don't know. I've dipped my toes in with a lot of bands. I've made a lot of friends over the years and like done a lot of fun records with a lot of people. Sometimes records, sometimes just playing with them live. For yeah, there was probably like a stretch of like 3 years where every year I would go sit in on Christmas time with Shane Smith and the Saints for their Christmas shows, just because we're boys and they were just had nothing better to do. They would just call me because they'd be in town, and I'd be like, all right, let's go. We go play the Granada Theater and pack it out and have a great time. But this is pre Yellowstone. They've ascended since then.
yeah. It's funny. It's funny you talk the way you talk about whiskey is the way I talk about Shane because
Yeah,
I have no bones about it. Like Shane is my favorite, right?
dude,
And
they're great. They're great, man.
yeah, and I say it all the time. They need like one, maybe even two, like solid start to finish albums that are like incredible, and they're gonna be untouchable,
I could see it.
untouchable,
Yeah,
untouchable.
I'm glad that they're. It seemed like for a while there was kind of a lull in new material,
Yeah,
especially when the old stuff popped off. But it's good to see that they're doing new stuff, man.
yeah.
I remember like the way I met them. I don't know if I told you the story last time, but the
I
way
don't
the
know.
way I met Shane Smith and Saints was so I didn't know at the time, but me and the bass player and the old guitar player all went to high school together uh, back in Rockwall, and this they were auditioning a new drummer. This is probably 2014, and I hadn't talked to either of those guys in a long time. I didn't know they were playing with Shane. Shane was not really like a huge name, and um, I woke up one morning. I lived in a house with a couple other musicians up in Denton, Texas, and I woke up one morning to a band rehearsing in my living room. And I was just like, okay, whatever. That's not uncommon. Whatever. And I walk out and I see it's like my buddy Tim and Chase, and they were playing with Shane. And Shane was auditioning a drummer in my living room. And then we ended up just like talking. They ended up having me sit in with them at their gig that night in town. It was the
Nice,
first, it's like I met them that day, played with them that night, and like we've been friends ever since.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
I I probably shouldn't tell these stories out loud, but like there was there was a night last November where
Mhm.
Shane and the boys were in town, and
Mhm.
every time they're up here, because up here they're Shades within the Saints, right? But they're not Shades within the Saints, right?
Right.
Um, and they're playing in rooms up here for 1,000 people, if that, and we've gotten to know the team and Ethan and Corey and Chase and everybody pretty well. So I'm standing there, and Shane comes off stage, recognizes me. He goes, "Are you coming to the bar?" And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I am. I
Mhm.
am now. I wasn't, but I am now. And like, the conversations you have, or I've had with not them and others, like, when they're off the record conversations and like you get to know somebody, it really, that's why I do this show the way I do it,
Yeah.
because it's just, at the end of it, it's friends just talking about life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like
Totally.
those are the kind of stories you get.
Yeah.
And those are the best ones.
Dude, totally. I remember it used to be, back in the day that I just got called up. I remember me and like, I think it was like half the band, some other dudes. I can't remember who all was there. We all just like got together one day and just went and saw Super Troopers 2 when it premiered because we all just loved the first movie. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
like just normal dude shit, you know?
yeah. It's wild the kind of the lifestyle that this industry brings.
Yeah.
You know, it's very unique. It's not, and it's not for the faint of heart. That's for sure.
Mm. Yeah. Nah, it's being on the road for a long time is tough, man.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
now, you know, when you're doing your stuff now, your solo
Mhm.
stuff, what's that looking like?
I'm figuring it out, man. It's cool. I did a stint of gigs earlier this year, opening up for Ward Davis, and that was a lot of fun. We packed out a lot of rooms, or he packed out a lot of rooms, but I got to meet a lot of people that like I've met before, but with a new perspective,
Yeah.
or at least they had a new perspective on me. No one really knew that I was much of an artist or wrote songs uh, for most of my career. Um, I back before, back during, I was like the early years of me touring in Texas country. Like I used to front a rock band. I didn't really tell anybody about, like locally, and we didn't play much. And I thought we had some cool shit, but it was very, um, against the grain kind of shit. And so like people just don't know me as an artist, and it was nice to be able to reframe a lot of people's perspective for that, just
Yeah.
to like, now that a lot of people have been very, very open and receptive to it, just very, very supportive. I've got a couple of these venues that like really they ask for me back, like they really want me to come back, and like Bird's Nest, and it's been great to like find these places that are um just so open to like wanting like artists and songwriters to come through, because for whether you're selling out the room or you're selling a handful of tickets, at least enough to like cover the nut, it's just like be able to like support like artists they want to support, or just good writers, or just musical community in general. It's been really nice finding those places for myself, because a lot of times you play in bands, especially like you have to have like a certain size room to like even have a big enough stage to have a band, right? So
Right.
like a lot of the years of my experience, I've never had a chance to connect or meet people like that. You know, it's always just been promoters and club owners, and like they're more worried about selling beers than they are about the music sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and I'm in the band, I'm not touching the business. I'm just, it's just, I go there, I do my job just like everyone else does, and sometimes you meet cool people and whatnot. But oh, cool, what is this bubble thing?
I don't know. It happens all the time. All the time.
um,
Like it's the weird, it's like random too. Like
Oh yeah, that is strange.
yeah.
Sorry. But no, it's just you don't get the opportunity when you're a band member sometimes. Not that like all artists are limiting in the sense that like they don't want you involved in their business, but it is, at the end of the day a business, and sometimes uh, an employee is not supposed to be the one dealing with that.
Right.
You have your own job, and like some artists are very transparent, some are very secretive. It's like, you know, I've been shorted on gigs before by people back in the day, and it's like, dude, you promised me this much. You knew you were going to make this much. He goes, yeah, well, we didn't. It's like, well, then, like, what the hell? It's like, are they telling the truth? I remember one time a guy handed me a $20 bill and told me it was a 50. And like 5 minutes later, I turn around and go, this is a $20 bill. He goes, I just handed you $50 bill. He thought I was trying to like extort $30 out of him. It was just like, no, dude. Like, but some people know what they're doing, some people don't. But yeah.
Now for you, when you're doing your stuff, right, and having to handle the business side of it for yourself, right? How how much of a change was that? Where it was like, oh shit.
Oh man, it's learning.
Yeah.
You know, it's always an old adage that like, man, go buy some merch, it helps them down the road. I don't think I understood the full weight of that phrase until
Yeah.
I started touring for myself.
Sure.
Because like the buying in on the merch is a hefty chunk, especially if you're buying like a good amount of quantity or a good quality. merch, but it is hand over foot like the best profit margin you've got. You're so if you're taking door deals on gigs, sometimes you might lose your ass, just in travel expenses, or you might be getting small guarantees or whatever. But like the merch is such a sign of like a sign of like whether you did a good job or not. Because if people are coming and buying the shirts, then like you have a good reference of like, oh well, this town really likes me, or this person really likes me. But like it also is just like cash in hand to be able to put gas in the truck.
Right.
And it's like it's always understood, but it's, I think, for lack of better terms, like now it's overstood.
Right.
It's just um it got a whole new meaning for me, I guess.
Right.
Like
Because
once I started going on the road for myself.
I remember going to shows as like a kid, and you know, artists, big or small, would never talk about the merch side of it, right?
Right.
But now I can't go to a show and, hey, the merch table is over there. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it's mentioned now more often. You know?
Yeah, well, I think because it has become such a necessity for artists
Right,
to like make bills. Like it used to be ticket prices were low. Yeah, I mean, like how far back you want to go, like 1970s, 1960s, whatever. But like ticket prices were minimal, even like post inflation, and you know like artists were getting a bigger cut. Like there weren't these ticket masters, and they weren't these live nations and giant promotion companies and ticket services. It is like they take a huge chunk now, and they're because they're streamlined all this shit. I mean, you could watch documentaries on this shit. I know plenty of
oh
people
yeah,
have, but you know but the larger the ticket prices and like the lower the cut that's going to the band, and just like the more expense it's being put on the band, it's more expensive than ever now to tour. Gas is four times the price it was 50 years ago. But back then you would also see, this is getting back to the merch, like there would be like a tour tee for the entire tour. There'd be like one T-shirt, and it could be for like multiple bands. Especially if it was like this run that they were doing all of them together across the. And it would be like, what, 50, 60 dates across the nation, and you'd be
right,
all these like markets and smaller markets and bigger markets, like these little towns. You're like, I didn't even know they had an arena. But
right, yeah,
you see these like on these old Eagles shirts and shit. But it would be like one tour T-shirt, because it was more of like a commemorative add-on sale thing than it was a a large portion of their profit margin.
right,
And nowadays, it's like I think that's why we see so many merch tables like that are just like inundated with like design after design after design. Like, I
right,
mean, obviously, like printing shirts has become easier with technology, so like it's easier to get more quantity of that kind of shit out there. But like, if you don't have like something brand new every time you come to a new town, why is anybody going to buy another shirt?
right,
Especially if it's a repeat customer.
right,
So it's but it becomes like you're a traveling shirt store
right,
for your
right,
brand, and that
right,
like has music,
right, yeah,
because I mean, like if you have to pivot to where your money's going, and like
right,
that's where the money is right now. And
right,
that's why I'm sure labels are trying to get merch cuts, like,
yeah, oh yeah, of
and
course they are.
that's why venues want merch cuts. You see these things like, what was it last year? BJ had that whole
Yeah,
tirade against the merch cuts from venues, and it's like I get it. I agree. It's a little shit, but some of these small venues, they're not doing too hot when it comes to money either. Like if you're not like to a certain scale, you're not dealing with Live Nation or you're not dealing with AEG. It's these small venues are getting cut out, so they're trying to find money wherever they can, and unfortunately, they're trying to cut the artist out, and it sucks because like they should be working together against the big dogs, but
right.
that's a long conversation.
Yeah, no, but I guess that was ultimately my point, that
Yeah.
you got to, where it's like, our artists, I feel like artists are more comfortable where, when somebody speaks out against it, they're like, yeah, well then, then we can tell you to go fuck yourself too.
Right.
Like, because like, and this isn't against anything against BJ or American Aquarium or anything like that, but like outside of that style of music, if you don't know
Mhm.
who American Aquarium is, you see this Rolling Stone article and you're like, who the fuck is this dude? You know what I
Right.
mean?
It feels like a publicity push.
Right. Right.
Right. And when it genuinely isn't, I mean, but at the same time, yeah, it does feel like that because they're not a worldwide name, you know.
Right. It's not like fucking Luke Combs is coming out and being like,
Right. Right.
because he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. Like he's not.
Yeah, but that you should see that dude's merch table. Holy shit.
Right. Right. Exactly.
You know.
But right. It's like he had like the bigger artists have their way of saying
Yeah.
it without having to
Well,
say it.
and a lot of like these bigger artists, they have the negotiating power to not have to do a merch split. You know,
Right.
like it depends on who they're dealing with, or maybe they do have a deal with their label if they've signed or whatnot. But like, or maybe they just play hardball and they give up money in a different area to keep all their merch. Like I know like certain artists that like have always kept 100% of their merch, like as far as once they were to a certain level because they understood the power in that,
Right.
or like or they want to keep 100% of the ticket sales or just whatever, however you want to do the deal, whether you're paying more expenses in the front or guaranteed. There's so many different ways of looking at it
Right.
at the brass tacks in that business, but
Yeah. I always find the business side of this industry so fascinating because there's so many different facets to it.
hmm
And it's a lot of things that maybe it's not designed for the general public to know or understand.
I
But I
think
think like
I think
I
like you saying it's designed, like I think it is designed for people not to understand.
yeah,
I mean, like musicians didn't get into the music business for the business side of music business. They got into it for the music side of
right.
music business. A lot of these people, like, I include myself into this in this to a degree. Like, I'm not a businessman. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. I'm a musician. Like sometimes it just becomes so overwhelming, or it's almost designed to be overwhelming.
Right.
Like it to the point like people know that if they're doing business with somebody who can make them money but doesn't understand the business, they can make money off of them, and a lot of times do. That's dirty business practices, but like it's the world we live in.
Right.
So like, again, sorry not to interrupt your question, but like, yeah,
No.
I think it's designed to not be
Yeah.
understood well,
I
and it's
think
not
you're right
taught.
because like even like doing this, and doing the way I do this and covering shows and all that, like there's no cost to anybody to do this,
hmm
right? But there could be a a financial repercussion, not repercussion, but a financial incentive to somebody down the road. You know,
hmm
it sure as hell isn't me, but like I'm not making any money, but um, like we have you or anybody else on this show that they're going to be like, oh shit, I'm going to check out their tunes and
Sure.
I'm gonna pay attention to the next time they're around. And
Right.
that
Right. Right.
that that to me is money in the bank. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like,
dude. I mean, free promotion is free promotion, man. A lot
right,
of times you got to pay for that. Like
right,
that's why. I mean, hell, even merch again. Merch is promotion, man. Like,
yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I've given away a shirt, like for me or for other people, just because it's like, man, if somebody sees them wearing that shirt and that's a cool shirt, they're like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? And then they hear the whole story about how cool the show was, and they're gonna come next time.
right,
Like that's what it's all about. It's it's just like wearing your favorite football player's jersey, man. Like
right.
a lot of it's like I'm showing support for the local franchise or whatever. A lot of people get weird about like, oh, you got a dude's name on your shirt. Like, what does he own you? And it's like it's weird, but but it's because you love the team, you love the band, you love and it's to help spread awareness. It's
Yeah,
it's pink ribbons. for breast cancer awareness. It's
Yeah.
all the same.
Yeah, it's always funny because like my cousin, he's big into like what I would call nerdy shit, right? Like
Yeah.
the Renaissance fairs and all that stuff,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. I got you.
So like I bust his balls. There's a big one up here every year, and I bust his balls, and he brought me to it last year, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, you guys like dress up like you know it's medieval times. And he's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
he goes, yeah, but every time you go to a Sox game or whatever, he's like, do you wear a Red Sox jersey? And I was like, yeah. He goes, it's the same thing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I
It
don't know,
really is.
I
It
don't
really
know.
is.
It is right, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
I can,
you're
I
also not pretending to be the player of the jersey you're wearing, though.
right, right. Like I can still go to the supermarket in my Red Sox jersey. Nobody's gonna look at me like I'm a weirdo.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
I mean, maybe after yesterday's news they might, but anyway,
Oh man.
God. So yeah. So you're doing your thing, you're going on tour, you're doing all the stuff. Now what are you playing keys? Are you playing guitar? Are you playing bass? What are you doing?
I like the solo show is mostly guitar, some keys. I think I'd be cheapening the experience a little bit. Well, according to some people that are close to me, people know me for playing piano, like
Yeah.
just like traditionally, because even before they know me as a writer and whatnot, they've seen me on stage playing keys, like and sometimes playing guitar, but primarily keys most of my life. And um, there I have such a connection with that instrument that uh sometimes I don't always see because I'm not looking in a mirror, but people have identified that like I a lot of my expression is tied with that instrument, and so it'd be weird for me not to play it at least part of the time, even though most of these songs that I've written, or nearly all the songs that I've written on guitar, because I find the keyboard a bit limiting of an instrument when I'm writing, and I think it's just because of my upbringing and being classically trained. Um, so sometimes I just don't think it translates well on keys. So like a good portion of the set is on guitar. I think it sounds better that way. They're more guitar centric songs. But no, I bring the keyboard out too. And
Nice.
recently it's been like to do almost like a couple covers of just like, oh, this is like stuff that I like, or I like I have played like throughout the years, maybe with other artists. Like I remember the last run I went on, I was trying to play a different cover every night, at least one different one. And that rotating spot, I ended up throwing in different songs that I played, uh, backing up other artists. Um, that they like either they were known for playing that cover like locally, or it was just a cover that I did with them that like really meant something to me that I really liked. So like I was like throwing in like uh Tom Petty's Southern accents, uh or I'm trying to remember. I did some Vince Gill songs because I have a local tribute band called Mint Still. I don't know if I've told you about this before.
No.
I'm part of a tribute band locally with a bunch of other like great touring musicians that we just kind of in our free time. It's all Vince Gill, and we're called Mint Still. It's a kosher tribute. We have like a pickle theme. And we got the matching outfits and everything.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
and Vince was on Chris Shiflett's podcast the other day, and they asked him about us. So, yeah, Vince knows that we're coping his vibe now, but pickle themed, and he seems doing. He didn't seem like he hated it, which I think is like the most biggest endorsement we could have gotten. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But but because of that, I ended up playing some Vince Gill covers, uh, in that rotation slot, because I've learned so many of those songs over the years. I'm trying to think. I attempted Whitney Houston one night. I still think it's a great song. I don't know if I did it justice, but what was it? I just want to dance with somebody. I think
Yeah.
it's. I think as a ballad, I think it's a great song.
It
You
is.
know,
It
like
really, it really is.
everyone thinks about like the cheesy '80s dance party.
Yeah,
It's like slow it down, man. Like it's a sad song. I just
yeah,
want to dance with somebody. Like, come on, And
yeah,
I'm all about doing the slow sad shit.
yeah,
So
yeah. I'm with you. I have a T-shirt that says "Make country music sad again,"
there you go.
because like for me, like I don't know if we talked about this last time, but like
Mm,
when I was growing up, to bring it back, right?
yeah,
Country music was not a thing in my house. Like I live in the
mm,
Northeast. Like you
right.
know what I mean? Like nobody listened to country. Not nobody, but the majority of people didn't listen to country music. And
Yeah, I mean,
you
for it
know,
being as blue collar as it is, like yeah, a lot of that was probably what Springsteen
yeah,
and
yeah,
yeah,
especially up here,
yeah,
right? And so like growing up, my parents never got into it, and my dad. I'll never forget the first country album I can ever remember coming into our house was Garth's double live album, the first one.
okay,
And it wasn't a big deal. Like, you know what I mean?
hmm
It was Garth Brooks. Everybody knew who Garth Brooks was. It wasn't like
sure,
it,
sure,
it wasn't like dad brought in, Hank Williams' greatest hits.
sure.
Uh but like but I just never gravitated to it. Even then, my
Hmm.
dad's side of the family loved that traditional country music, and I think being a kid, it's
Like
like you
you
get,
traditional like you mean like Hank Williams Sr. or like
yeah, yeah,
okay, like the
a lot of that, a
1940s
lot of,
Yodelay, yeah,
yeah, a lot of. When I say traditional, like I mean like the old stuff, where it's
hmm
whether it was Waylon and Willie and Johnny Paycheck and
okay,
uh,
yeah, even up to the '70s stuff. That's cool.
yeah,
Okay, well, yeah,
yeah, yeah, a lot of that, a lot of Loretta Lynn and
hmm
Dolly to an extent, all
yeah,
the greats, right?
sure, sure.
Looking back, all the greats, and I remember, and I'm sure my mother doesn't listen to these, which I don't blame her, but like
Mhm.
she used to call it "shoot the fucking dog" music, because like it sounded like that. It was like just
Oh, because the okay, yeah, I get
right,
you.
right.
Yeah,
And like, but
no,
like now it's like those songs are iconic and classic, and they're simple, but they're simple in that way of like bring you to your knees simple,
sure,
you know and it's like I wish now as an adult that like those family members like that are now gone I could have had conversations with about it,
sure.
you know but it's life, I guess, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm sure I could learn off people that are gone
Yeah,
about a lot of things that happened before us. But
yeah, yeah. So you got singles coming out the rest of the year.
yeah, I don't have a schedule yet. I'm like I said, finishing up the vocals on them. But I've got yeah, I should be dropping it periodically throughout the rest of the year.
Nice.
I'd say every couple months, probably another one.
So that's
Mhm.
good. That's good. I
Thanks,
can't
man.
wait. I love the shit you do. And maybe
Thanks,
it's
dude.
because Liz threatens me, but I really
Oh,
it's not just because Liz threatens me, but I love your sound. I love what you're doing.
thanks, man.
It's cool to see, good people doing cool things.
I'm trying, man. And like it's like, we're really experimenting too with like I'm producing this all myself. I'm mixing this all myself, in my studio. I've got a great team of dudes that I brought in to do this batch of tracks. That are also the guys in some of the guys from my Men Still band. Chris Killingsworth and Bill Corbin. You probably recognize Bill from used to be an American Aquarium back in the day, but those dudes are some of my closest friends, and they've been great about helping me out with doing this record. And um, I had Dylan Welsh from Lowdown Drifters play a lot of the guitars that I didn't do. We kind of half and halved it, it's nice to have somebody else sit in that seat for a minute because if you're doing everything yourself is just such a drag. You know,
Yeah.
like I play music because I like to be collaborative, and so it's so weird for me to sit in the front seat versus like be the guy in the passenger seat or the back seat, like I have been most of my life. You know, because like I want that back and forth. I want that thing. You know. But even past the music, like we've been really trying to experiment with just like involving the audience a little more with you know, I've been given I did a raffle for the like a free private show on the last single, and the response is so great that we're talking about maybe doing one for every single for the rest of the year,
Nice.
about like giving away more private shows, because people, there was obviously really like a groundswell of attention and incentive of just like, you know, like I have a lot of people in my corner and a lot of people that are fans that I didn't realize, because you know a lot of times you can be a passive fan, you know, and it's just like, oh, I like this music. Even with my friends, like they don't know that I listen to their records a lot because I just listen to the records. I don't tell them I
Right.
listen to the records, you know.
Right. Right.
But when we did something like that, and it was just like doing the pre-save thing just to get in the raffle for the private party, we had people coming out of the woodwork. Those numbers jumped up so much faster than I expected, and it was just because, you know, I do have people that enjoy the music. They just, a lot of us enjoy things passively, you know what I mean? So like to try to keep involving uh my friends and my fans, and like really try to like do this again, because like I want to go find these people that are so like enamored with what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you know, you could get more pre-saves and, you know, like get more entries in the raffle. You have more likely to win, and the person that's more likely to win is probably the person that like really wants that private show. And like, and if they really want that private show, I want to bring it to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because like I want to meet the fan, like these big fans of what I'm doing, and like figure out why they like me so much.
Sure.
Because like, you know, because I hate myself, but no.
No, I get it.
But
I get
no,
it.
but no, it's more just like why they like the music so much, so I can, not that I can cater to them, but I can figure out why, who I am as an artist, and what's working, you know, and really be able to embrace the positives and like create like a feedback loop in that sense, you know.
Yeah.
Really find these people.
Yeah. I think that's
Yeah.
great the way you do that. You know, I love that.
We're experimenting with it. Like I said, the first trial went great. So like we're probably gonna keep trying it for the rest of the year and see how it goes. You know.
Yeah. So for everything that comes out throughout the rest of the year and
Mhm.
shows and all that, how can people keep track and follow you along and do all that?
Yeah, I've got the, you know, the Facebook, the Instagram. My Instagram's under Woollybeard, WOOLYBEARD. It's an old gamer handle, but I've already developed it. I'm keeping it. I like it. Maybe I'll be a DJ one day and use that as my DJ name. Who
Shit.
knows? But you know, I've got uh like I think the general like socials like that. I'm on TikTok. Uh I don't get on the app much, but I post on it. I'm doing you know, all your normal streaming services, you know, the Spotify, the Apple Music, the Amazon Music. If I also, I've been saying this a lot at shows, but if you know anybody that uses Amazon Music, send them my way, because I have not met a single person, and I don't know. I would like to know the kind of person that uses Amazon Music. I just don't think that's, I don't think it's a real metric. I don't know why it exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you use it, like holler at me. I'd love to know the who is using Amazon Music, because I'm putting it out there, so somebody is listening to it.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, you know, come see me at shows. I've got, we rescheduled some that are happening probably October. We're building a really cool run. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who with yet. But we got like a string of shows. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm doing at least with Gabe Quinn, that I'm doing this weekend with, and I don't know. I play every Wednesday. That I'm home out in the stockyards at the White Elephant with a '90s country cover band. Come see me play there. It's a lot of fun. I love playing those songs with my friends. Uh, I don't know. Come to my house and watch me play in the studio. You know? Maybe I should set up a live stream cam in here. I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh God.
I've had people ask me before like about doing that. We've live streamed like sessions before here, like for other artists, like under their pages, and seems to be kind of a response. I don't know if there's much of a want for it, but like if somebody wants to watch me do the 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 really boring part of the process, you know, I'll put a camera up.
Right.
You know,
I get
fly on the
that.
wall, literal fly on the wall. But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, man,
Mm.
I can't thank you enough for your time, and enjoy the weekend, and hopefully the weather's nice.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's supposed to
Yeah.
be. I hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. It's supposed up in our area, it has rained
Mm.
every Saturday for the last 13 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And this Saturday is supposed to be the first Saturday in 13 weeks, and it's not going to rain.
Well, that's better. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Every Saturday rain's kind of a bummer, dude.
Yeah. So
Like,
I'll do it. It's been awful. Awful. But hey, you know what? This Saturday that we're talking, um, we're getting to see the King finally. So
hey, all right.
yeah. Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
he's here with Parker and Stapleton, and
That's right.
that'll be a fun show to see.
Yeah, dude, absolutely.
Have you ever seen George?
Yeah, I saw him in Vegas a couple years ago when he had the Vegas residencies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was up there for NFR playing, and we got some tickets, and it was what an experience. Like
Yeah.
I from what I understand, I think the show is a little different, like or the Vegas shows were in the sense that
Yeah.
like, um, does he do like the band in the round? You'll have to
I
let me
I
know.
I don't think so in this setting. I really don't.
Okay. Yeah,
But
I find it hard to believe unless it's like they put the stage in the center of the arena and they put everyone
yeah.
around it, you know. But like it was really I really loved that concept of like he had like four vocal mics on each like one on each
Yeah.
corner and he was able to like cater to eat everybody in the crowd and the band like I loved that the band was able to like look at each other and communicate. It's
Right.
such a fresh way of looking at a stage
Yeah.
plot, you know?
Like, I know I'm not going to see George Strait to see like a big fucking production. I know he's not going to run around the stage for an hour and a half and
Well,
anything
I
like
mean, dude,
that. But
he played probably 2.5 hours.
really,
I would say like all said and done. Maybe a little under, but like it was still longer than I expected. I thought he was going to do 75, maybe 90, and like he just
yeah,
kept going and going and going and going. Like everyone got the song they wanted to hear, you know?
yeah. As far as I'm concerned, it's probably going to be the first and last time I get to see him. So,
Oh yeah, I mean, how many more
uh,
opportunities you're really going to get, you know?
right, right, right. So I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm
Hell
excited,
yeah,
and I'm not.
yeah, man.
I promised myself I'm not going to get too drunk beforehand. So,
Oh, you can't, man. Yeah, you got to
uh,
remember it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, Drew, well, thanks, man, and don't be a stranger. We'll be in touch, and
Yeah, man.
you know, I'm sure Liz will yell at us at some point. So,
Oh yeah, yeah. We'll catch up, man. Don't worry about
so
it.
all right, I'll talk to you soon.
Cheers, man. Later.
See ya. All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. Our conversation with Drew. Drew, thank you so much for being here. It means the absolute world to us that you took the time. And Liz, thank you so much for setting everything up and making it possible. So I'm not gonna lie to you. This is the second time I've recorded this because I started talking about Charlie Kirk and I don't want to get all conspiracy theory, but the app shut down. Um, so I'll say this: my heart goes out to his wife and his children. As a father myself, I can't even imagine. Right? I can't even imagine. Um, with that being said, we don't live in a country where we harm each other for our thoughts and our opinions. What Charlie was doing was he was giving a voice to everybody. Right, wrong, indifferent, whether you agree, whether you disagree, it doesn't fucking matter. Somebody took a life because of what they didn't like. They didn't like what he had to say, or didn't like what he was doing. You don't fucking do that. You don't do that here. That's for goddamn sure. That shit. That shit happens in other places, not here. You can have civil discord. You can talk to each other. You don't have to be so fucking loud about your opinions on either side of the aisle, to be totally honest. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. That's what this is all about. This is about us harming each other for differences of opinion. No. No thank you. No thank you. Was I a Charlie Kirk fan? You goddamn right I was. Did I agree with everything Charlie said? No. And like I had to tell my fucking 10-year-old, you don't always have to agree with somebody all of the time and still respect them. That's the point of this. Charlie was doing probably one of the most American things you could probably do. Bringing differences, different ideas, different thoughts, different opinions to a table and saying, let's have a conversation about it. And pretty fucking civilly, too. What happened last week is absolutely disgusting. And if you think otherwise, please, for the love of God, stop following us. Stop following this show. Don't listen to it anymore. Please don't. Because it's not okay. I don't care what side of the aisle you are on. I don't care what I don't care. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what kind of fucking delusions you have. Murdering somebody because of a difference of opinion is not okay. And it never will be. I don't care what side you're on. And if you think it is, like I said, please see yourself out. Because there's no place for you here. That's for goddamn sure. That's all I'll say about that. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next Tuesday. Be good to each other. I say it every week. Be good to each other. And if you can't be good or have something nice to say or anything like that, shut the fuck up. Okay? Do yourself a favor. If you have nothing positive to say or have a debate or can be respectful, shut the fuck up. Because we saw last week what the other side of that is. Be good to each other. Have a great week. See you next Tuesday. Cheers.